Virat Kohli, the name that became synonymous with batting, is these days struggling against off spin. I have Siddhant with me. Siddhant, in the first test against Bangladesh as well, we saw that how Virat is looking a little weak against off spin. We saw that in the ODI series in Sri Lanka as well. I have a couple of stats with me, but we'll come to that after in a while. But then, what do you make of the situation? Do you actually feel that he is looking out of form against off spinners, or would you say that it's just a part and parcel of the game and he will be back again?
Frankly, I'd have to say, love, I agree to an extent because you see, barring that World T20 final, T20 World Cup final innings where he scored 76 runs, right?
Right.
You really haven't seen an innings of substance from Kohli, since the T20 World Cup. In that ODI series, also nothing as such. Then in this test match against Bangladesh, first innings, got out trying to chase one well wide outside off, reminding us of those days in England where he struggled because he was chasing everything outside off and he lost his wicket in the first innings like that. Second innings, given out LBW, even though the guy had got an inside edge, was not even like the slightest of
That
inside
happens
edge.
with Virat, na? You remember that game against Pakistan?
I don't
in
know
the
what
World Cup?
conversation he and Gill had. I actually don't know. But my problem is, like, as a batter, you would know whether the ball hit your bat, whether you
Right.
got an edge. If you even had a semblance of an idea where you thought, oh, lag gayi yaar, bat se lagi, halki si bhi lagi hai, you would have taken the review, right?
Absolutely.
But he
No,
did
no.
not take the review. He went up to Shubman Gill. I don't know whether he even asked कि bat लगा है नहीं लगा है. I think he only asked कि I think लग तो रही है, लग तो रही है.
I think if there was anyone who knew that it hit the bat, that was Virat.
No, nobody else. I am
Right,
saying
right.
It was definitely him who should have
His
realized
call
it.
only.
It
I
was
think
his
he
call.
missed it, but I think those sort of brain fade moments happen with Virat Kohli. We have seen that in the past as well.
Brain fade moments, I don't know.
So you remember that game against Pakistan in 2019 ODI World Cup, where he was given out and he hadn't nicked the ball and he walked off.
But
I think that was against Muhammad Amir. And there was a lot of backlash for that as well. That how could a batter walk out when there was daylight between bat and ball?
I don't
So
even
I
remember
think-
that for some reason. But I have to say, Kohli, despite looking jaded, is one of the best batters India have ever produced. And I know you're going to throw in some stats and
It's
gonna
not about the stats.
are
It's
going to
about-
contest his place in this 11.
See,
And because we're gonna argue
I'm
again.
not. See, first of all, let me make one thing clear over here. I'm not doubting his place in this playing 11, in this Indian
Thank you.
playing 11.
Thank you, love.
For sure,
Thank you.
obviously, just because of the fact that what he has done in the past. But then you can't discount the fact that
agree.
he is woefully out of form.
No, he is. As I said, 76 runs in that T20 World Cup final. Barring that, nothing we have seen this year as
So
such.
since we are
Like
talking,
since the T20 World Cup
since we
final.
are talking about this year, let's quickly take a look at his numbers in all formats combined in 2024.
Okay.
So Virat has so far played 17 innings this year. That includes tests, T20 internationals and ODIs as well. And he has scored just 319 runs at an average of just over 18. That includes that 76 in that World Cup final as well, which might have boosted his
but that-
average a bit. But then
Virat-
apart from that, nothing.
Virat averaging less than 20 in a
2024.
year, in a calendar
All
year
formats.
across all formats. It's actually like
Very crazy.
even
right?
even when he's woefully out of form, you know how we talk about Virat Kohli. If he's averaging 50, 60, you're like, yeah, great, everything is great. If he's averaging 40, 45, you're like, boy, he's not performing at all. But boss, those numbers are actually really bad. Like 18 point something as an average for the year.
For a
Not
batter
good.
like Kohli.
For a batter like Kohli, with the pedigree of Kohli, with what he has done in the past, clearly something is not working for him. I don't know what it is, and I really, really hope that second test against Bangladesh, he finds that form, because now the business end of the year will come after this
Right.
New Zealand, then Australia test. Those are the crucial games for us.
And yes, as far as the World Test Championship final is also concerned, I think we need Virat Kohli. But then
और
since
थोड़ा
we-
दूर है, थोड़ा दूर
थोड़ा
है.
दूर है, but then I think he needs to have truckload of runs on his back to just go into the final with that form, which I think India missed in the last couple of editions. But then since we're talking about test cricket, let's quickly take a look at Virat's test numbers now. I'll quickly show you how his dip in form is affecting Team India. So Virat has so far played 193 innings in Test cricket. His runs are over 8,000, that is 8871, and he averages 48.74. Now, this average, Siddhant, may seem very high, but
No,
as
no,
far
it's
as someone like a Virat Kohli is concerned, it's
it's
an 8-year low.
it's the lowest in the Fab Four also
The last time when
in a
Virat
way.
averaged below this was, I think, in 2016. That was November 2016. He hasn't averaged below than this.
Yeah, I think
8 years, eight-time low.
it is true. Virat's form, you also have to say, you remember that 3 year patch he had before he scored that 100 against Afghanistan in the Asia Cup?
Yeah.
Before that, also, he did not get those hundreds, was not scoring those big knots. Yes, 60s, 70s every now and then, but those daddy hundreds or those big scores of 150 odd, those you have not seen. Of course, against Australia, he scored that century. He's done well in bits and pieces, and maybe that is why his average has also come down. Because you see, even against Bangladesh, no score of substance, right?
Siddhant, that's why we come to that point that he's struggling against off spinners. It's not like he has got some magic deliveries, right? But then the way he has got out, it seems that he's just not reading the bowlers.
Also, at times,
That is a little concerning.
at times he looks surprised. You remember, like the thing with Kohli is, and even though I'm a huge Kohli fan, which I don't genuinely like all the time, is that even a normal ball that he gets out to, he'll look at the pitch at times and sort of
ये
make you
क्या हो
feel
गया?
कि ये क्या हो गया. But ऐसा नहीं होता है. मतलब you have to certain times say that you played a poor shot or you did not read the ball correctly. And with Kohli, I think his numbers clearly say that the boy, he's not in
Right
top
now,
form.
since we're talking about numbers and off spinners, let's quickly show you how he has performed against off spin. So Virat versus off spinners in tests since 2020. He has played 32 innings. He has scored just 690 runs, dismissed 22 times out of 32,
Wow.
22 times against off spinners, and he has averaged 31.4. Siddhant, we'll discuss that, but let me quickly put things into perspective for our viewers by showing the stats of how much Virat averaged against off spinners before 2020.
Okay.
So before 2020, he played 101 innings and he scored over 2,000 runs. Was dismissed 34 times, yes, but then he averaged 66.3 against off spinners. That's a dip of over 50%
Yeah.
in 4 years.
Over 50%, forget that. My biggest problem is, a lot of these tests would have also taken place outside India, some of them at least.
Yeah.
And you would say that getting out to an off spinner 22 out of 32 times, that's insane.
I mean, there was a time when Virat used to struggle against the ball that was moving out against the Pacers. But I think,
No, but he played well in South Africa. I remember some of the knocks.
What I'm saying is there was a time.
Yes.
I think that was 2014,
Emotional ho
if
gaya tha
I'm not
main.
wrong, against England, where he averaged under 10 in that
Yeah,
series.
yeah. That, and then 2018 he went back and
Redemption
showed,
series.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
400.
So, but I think if you compare that time to today, I think it's a similar situation for Kohli, but it's just that
Off spin.
at that time it was the Pacers, and this time
with the ball
it's off
moving
spin.
away from him, where he was trying to chase everything. I think now his struggle is against the ball coming back towards him.
Yeah, I
because
think-
the off spinner will be bowling most of those. If it's a stock delivery, it'll be coming into him, and he's sort of struggled LBW so many times.
He's not reading the bowlers. Clearly, he isn't. I'm no expert
no.
of batting, and
Also, the pitch wasn't that bad. You have to say the
Yeah.
pitch wasn't that bad because Shubman Gill and Rishabh Pant went on to score hundreds right after that. So, Kohli भैया क्या हो गया आपको? मतलब,
पता नहीं क्या हो गया.
like as a Kohli fan, I am genuinely a little worried, and those numbers actually paint a bad picture.
Yeah.
They show you that Virat, like a lot of people would say that it's not a weakness for him. It's just probably form. But when you're getting out 22 out of 32 times to an off spinner, clearly, irrespective of whether Virat Kohli himself would agree or not, there's some chink in his armor now where he's struggling
Right.
against off spinners, and that's being a problem. And इनमें से एक नंबर कम हो जाता अगर वो रिव्यू ले लेता शायद मैं भी असर के
एक number कम हो जाता, yes, true. But then when you think about Virat Kohli, you think about that batter he used to dominate bowlers.
Also, have you realized that he's a little quiet these days even when he's batting? Earlier when he used to come out and bat, he would be like, "Abbe, challenge मिला है मुझे." I will try and show you. Oh, you are talking back to me. Wait, I'll let my bat.
I thought you were just about to use that beep word.
No, I was
just talking about Virat
no,
Kohli
no.
because people
I
sometimes
stopped that
do, right?
day.
Talking about Virat Kohli and not talking about beeps can't be done, right?
Yeah. A lot of times people used to take Ben Stokes' name, but okay, no more. I won't say anything more. But yes, so please understand that I think Kohli has also mellowed down as a person. Maybe that fight that was as a cricketer, he'll always be up for the fight. We saw that in the T20 World Cup final. But maybe every innings used to be a fight for him where he was like, oh boss, this is a challenge.
Right.
Every time somebody mouthed off something to him, or somebody had said something 2 days back to him or about him, and he would want to answer back to that person with his bat. I think that is the kind of Kohli we have been missing to an extent. Don't you think he's sort of mellowed down also? Yes, every now and then he gets excited when we take a wicket, when he's in the face of the batter.
Right.
But considering
I'll
his
tell you
own
what.
batting,
I'll tell you what. I feel there are two Kohlis
There are two
that
Kohlis.
turn up. There's one Kohli that sometimes turns up, like we saw in the IPL.
and remembers Ben Stokes a lot.
Right. Like we saw in the IPL where he scored heaps of runs. But then the pitches were very good for batting.
Yeah.
Don't forget that. And then there's a different Virat Kohli who, when gets out, like you mentioned, and he has that look, what just happened? I don't like that Virat Kohli. I always want to see a Virat Kohli where he goes out there and dominates bowlers, no matter the bowler. I mean, you remember that his knock against Malinga?
That was one of the best knocks you've ever
Yeah,
seen.
and that was a kid Virat Kohli, and
That's what I'm
Malinga
saying.
at his prime.
Prime Malinga being smashed. And I remember, I think it was Michael Slater who was doing commentary in that game. Or like four. He's now hit that over extra cover. Like I don't remember
Kept
the
on
exact
flicking
words,
those
but
Yorkers.
those shots. And I remember those Queensland boys who were catching that on the meadows. They dropped it, and they were talking about that also. That was a great game for India, even though we did not qualify for the final that time.
Yeah.
If you remember that.
I think Sri Lanka did. But then that's a separate story. What I feel
बह
is,
गया था मैं थोड़ा.
so that is the type of Virat Kohli we want to see. I think it has been missing. Yes, that 76 run knock again in the World Cup final was very crucial, but then he had a very poor World Cup as well. Leading up to that.
By his standard, it
By
was the worst.
anyone's standards.
No, by his standards,
What is written on your hand? by
just
the way?
numbers I had written. Not Virat Kohli's for sure, because it says 89.7. Something else I was doing, and that's why I written the number. But listen, Virat Kohli, by his standards, the T20 World Cup was poor. I agree, because you have to look at what he had done in the past. Every World Cup, he was India's best batter. That innings against Pakistan, that innings against Australia, and those are two different World Cups I am talking about in T20s. Not to forget what he did in the semi-final in 2014 against South Africa. You can count n number of innings that Virat Kohli maybe has slightly gone missing, but you saw what he did even after getting out in the second innings. He went and batted for a long time in the nets.
Right.
So I am just hoping and keeping my fingers crossed. Gautam Gambhir, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, all three of them are discussing what he needs to do and what is best for him. And I think there'll be no better judge of it than Virat Kohli himself, because of the standards he has set.
But also, I feel that who better than Gautam Gambhir to tell Virat Kohli how to counter spin? Because I think Gautam Gambhir is one of the finest batters India has produced that plays spin so well. And I also feel that Border Gavaskar Trophy might just be the turning point as well, where we see Virat Kohli back.
And when Virat Kohli back, not just back in with the bat. I think Virat Kohli back with talking to the Aussies
Because
talking
also
back,
the fact that
sledging.
spin obviously will play a part, because both teams have quality spinners. But
Great
then
spinners.
Great spinners, absolutely no doubt about that. But then it's not going to be a rank turner. So I think Virat might not have those moments where he's like, "What just happened?" So
Australia
we
will be a
might see
different
different
challenge,
Virat
but
Kohli.
usually when it comes to Australia and Virat Kohli, it's a love affair. Right?
Yeah.
So on that note, we leave it to you. Please do let us know in the comments what you make of Virat Kohli's current form and what he has done, even against Bangladesh or the matches before that, T20 World Cup. As Love pointed out with his crazy stats, he's averaging less than 19 this year across all formats. That's not good enough. But so do let us know what you think, and hopefully you liked our video. Please do like, share, and subscribe as
Absolutely.
always, because we do like bringing such content to you. So thank you for watching.